kind of smiled and looked at it.
Hello, this is my audience, 5 members, and this is my poster board. I'm here to talk to you about what happened in 90s hip-hop and how come it's back and running because of its long period of time that it was gone in the 2000s. I've always been a fan of 90s hip-hop, and since I was a little kid my cousin introduced it to me, and I feel very strong about it. And when it fell off in the 2000s, it was very upsetting, but I'm glad now that it's back, which is the purpose. I'm informing you on how it all came to be again. In the beginning, it was mostly by kids that lived in the ghettos and projects, and they really had no other options in their lives. They are always involved in many drug deals and prostitution and many different things that would create hardship in their lives. Technically, the struggle is what rappers like Biggie would call it, and Nas as well. One of the reasons why it was very good in the 90s, hip-hop, was because they had much better beats, and they would sample a lot of old songs, and it's just more of a dark type feel. It's not really poppy or popular with like adults and stuff, but like young boys and kids liked it because it emulated what it was to be a thug, and they thought it was very cool to try and be bad. So I got that from allmusic.com. It was written in 2009. Another reason why it wasn't big too much in the beginning of the 90s was because of the profanity and lyrical content they spoke about, which was murder, violence, drugs, sex, very touchy subjects with white people. This obviously created a lot of buzz, like, why is this happening? Why are these young African American kids speaking out so much? And it became very, very hyper with the mainstream music industry because it started generating so much mass appeal.
Slow down.
And that definitely catapulted hip-hop to a major stage. So that brought on to the 2000s where basically the creativity was lost from hip-hop, from people like Nas and Biggie talking about their surroundings and life lessons that you should learn. It really just focused on drugs, sex, money, and violence, like I said before, because that's what would attract most of the kids. So what happened was record labels started getting rappers like Lil Wayne and Fabulous, almost ghetto type people to try and emulate what the people in the 90s did, such as Tupac, acting all bad and stuff. But the difference was Tupac would actually have uplifting songs, even though he claimed he was a thug. Lil Wayne literally talks about in his songs killing and having sex with women. That's basically his main points. And he would make a lot of money from that. It's a huge marketing tool. Like people like Drake always talking about having sex with women too. And if you weren't talking about that on your songs that they would put on the radio, record labels would not sign you, and you wouldn't be able to really make money off of your product, off of your music. So that's how a lot of the creativity came about. And then a lot of fake people like Lil Wayne claiming they're thugs and killers, and Rick Ross about being a cocaine dealer in Miami, which he stole his name from an actual crack dealer. That's how all that came about, just being fake. The beats became different as well. Instead of it being more of like 808 claps and repetitive sounds and samples to go along with the flow, it almost became like pop music, like Britney Spears type stuff and singing, and just to create money, basically. It's not. There was some good music in the 2000s, but it was all just to create mass production and record sales, and to make money, basically. Now in the new decade, of course, which is excellent because I'm a huge fan of these new decade rappers because they're starting to bring back the better beats and the golden age, basically, of hip-hop. That's what the 90s was called. That's what that's what the hip hop was called in the 90s. It was the golden age of hip hop, and I read that on remixurban.com. And many people that have a good knowledge on rap and hip hop will say the same thing. And now these new rappers are starting to realize that, you know, they were talking about really like good things to uplift their people, and they had a real way about it. They would talk about what they would see and what they would go through and write it down on a piece of paper so you can feel the emotion. And that's what new rappers are starting to do today. And they're also paying respect to the legends of the 1990s hip-hop, which the 2000s would not do at all. If you want to listen to a 1990s hip-hop song on the radio or MTV, you might as well forget about it, because it's really not going to happen. In conclusion, it's a positive effect right now, going on in hip-hop, because there are so many different types of genres now that, you know, it's actually nice to have both, and especially now that the old school hip-hop is starting to catch up back on again. Rappers like Action Bronson, Joey Badass, even some of the mainstream rappers now, such as J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar, have a lot of promise in them and talk about real subjects that actually help people. Not like Eminem in the 2000s talking about being stupid and doing crazy things, trying to make kids dumb and stuff. So, another one of my references is the Harvard Gazette, who called Tupac basically a thug hero for talking about the subjects he would in songs like Dear Mama and Hold Your Head Up. And I also used Viper Records, talked about Immortal Technique. He's part of one of the new rappers that's finally starting to get recognition for the political subjects that he talks about, and also his aggressiveness in his lyrics. And that's it. Thank you very much.